Hey, what's up, peeps? Welcome to another episode of Direct Edition. The channel is Fred Hall Direct Edition, and today we're going to be doing things just a little bit different. We're going to be looking at some of my trade hardcovers and trade paperbacks. And I wanted to also show an appreciation for one of my favorite X-Men runs, one of my favorite X-Men teams, and that's the X-Force. X-Force and Uncanny X-Force, the Black Ops team led by Wolverine. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, first things first, we're going to look at, some books I picked up a while back. These are 50 centers. I got them for 50 cents. This is the regular version, and this is the blood variant. I've shown this in a couple of my videos a while back. I think it's pretty cool, man. So, yeah. And that's what X-Force did a lot in their run, especially when you get into like arcs like Necrosha, you will see that they did a lot of variant covers. So periodically throughout the video, I might be pausing the video and just running some of the variant covers, especially when we talk about Necrosha. Okay, so X Force is one of the reasons why I transitioned out of single comics into trade paperbacks, is because once I got, into a trade paperback and I realized that, hey, I didn't have to go after single issues and worry about people picking them up. I was like, I can get the whole story in one big shebang. Let me start collecting these. So that's what I did. And, it comes with preference and maturity. I just kind of got like a little more mature in my collection. So I went towards hardcovers, which doesn't mean that, hey, it's a bad thing if you still collect single issues. Single issues are the bomb and they're still worth more money than a lot of trade paperbacks. But some people prefer trade paperbacks, some people prefer the single issues. So when I say mature, it's not necessarily like a bad thing. But anyway, here's a look at the front of the book, which is Angels and Demons. And here's a look at the back of the book, which collects X-Force 1 through 6. In this arc, the biggest thing that happened was you had Warren Worthington turn back into Archangel. And the way he did that was Rain Sinclair, who is the werewolf. It was the Purifiers, I think. Yeah, it's a group of X-Men villains called the Purifiers, and they wanted to get the feather wings off of Archangel's back. And when Rain Sinclair seen Archangel, she actually tore his wings off his back with her mouth. And right after that, his metal wings grew. So very cool, very dark, drawn by Clayton Crane. What more can you ask for? Okay, so the next paperback is X Force Old Ghost. This is drawn by Mike Choi, something like that. But anyway, this cover is so rad and gnarly. I actually, bought out the pen and paper and actually had to draw it. I love Wolverine and Domino's connection in this. And this is the arc where old. Really? That was pretty cool. But this is an arc where an old X-Men villain named the Vanisher, who's in like some really old X-Men. I'm talking about back when the X-Men first formed. He joined the ranks of X-Force. It wasn't by his own will. Wolverine told Elixir, who has the ability to heal or to kill, he told Elixir put a tumor in Vanisher's brain until we're done with him, and that's what they did. They put a brain tumor in Vanisher's head. So pretty cool, very cool book. So let's take a look at the back of it. Okay, and this X-Force Old Ghost collects X-Force 7 through 11. You have Warpath X-23, you have Vanisher, you have Archangel, Wolverine, you have Domino. So yeah, man, and Elixir. So really, really love this run, man. Flawless. So the next one we have is X-Force Not Forgotten. This is actually a hardcover. It's not a trade paperback. In this story, basically X-Force is, going against the Purifiers and the Goblin. What's her name? It's not Goblin Queen. It's a Leper Queen. Old X-Men villain. And, they have the Legacy virus. And they also have this virus that is trying to stop the Goblin Queen from spreading. It's like some kind of virus that takes a mutant's abilities and amplifies it to where they almost like blow up or something, or they put bombs inside of the mutants to where it was like they were suicide bombers. And the reason why I like this arc so much is because it actually branches off, and you get a glimpse of Laura Kinney's past, who is X-23, and you meet her villain. I forget her name. It's Karma something. Anyway, but her villain is actually this tough skinned lady who would actually torture X-23 when she did something, good. And in this book, X-23 actually had to sever her arm off to escape. So, yep. And here's a look at the back of the book with which shows the actual blood variant. So I definitely, with my X Forces, I definitely like to collect the blood variants. I think one of the long term goals of me collecting some of the older X Force single issues is to actually just go ahead and collect the variants. Like they're out there, it's just they're rare. So especially the blood variants. I know everybody's been going crazy over the blood variants. So let's see. This X Force Not Forgotten actually collects X Force 12 through 13, and then 17 through 19. So the books I'm showing you are in chronological order. So this happens in between the arc that I just showed you, the Not Forgotten. What happened in Not Forgotten, they was trying to stop Boom Boom, who was an old X Force member, from blowing up. And right before they're able to save her, Scott sends the X Force back in, not back in time, but into the future to help out Cable and Hope. And in this book, you have the Age of Apocalypse, where this is the book that has the Age of Strife, which is very, very, very awesome. And you have an old stinky Deadpool. This book was drawn by one of my favorite artists of all time, Olivetti. So you have not only Olivetti's artwork in it, you also have Clayton Crane's artwork, and it works side by side. This book is so freaking awesome, man. If I could suggest that you pick up any of the X Force runs, this is the one. It got plenty of Deadpool goodness in it. It also has, Strife and Cable going at it. Strife is trying to figure out who Hope is, so he's trying to read her mind. He's trying to read Bishop's mind at the same time. And then you have the ace up the sleeve, which is Apocalypse. And when Apocalypse finally awakens from his weakened state, he puts a beat down on Strife. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now and show you some clips out of it. So just, enjoy some of the artwork. And welcome back. This is some of the, back of the artwork that's on the book. Very cool, man. And this book is very, very thick. Like it gotta be like a 300 pager. So yeah. Okay, so the next X Force arc would be Necrosha. This would be like one of their last runs. Necrosha was about, the Black Queen coming back to, she basically kind of like awoken like Apocalypse, and she came back, and she was basically trying to, I guess, raise enough dead mutants in Necrosha where she could siphon off their power and become like almost like a god. So this is the book where you find out that Apocalypse is not the oldest mutant. It's actually Selene. Uh, pretty, very good book. And the thing I love about this X-Force Necrosha, or anything Necrosha, is that when they did the X-Force variant covers, they did Blade 2 variant cover. They did what do you call it? Bram Stoker's Dracula. They also did a Lost Boys variant. Man, I'm looking for all. I've never seen those variants. Now, you will have me become a big fan of your channel if you show me those books. Show me the X-Force variants from Necrosha, the Lost Boys, the Blade 2, the They even did a what's the movie called where it's like lichens? What is that called? Yeah, I had to go and look at the movie. It's called Underworld. They even did an Underworld variant. So yeah, if you have any of those, man, please show it off and make sure you hit my channel and any kind of video or anything. Just make sure I get a notification so I can go back and watch that video because I would be in total awe and I would be a total fan. With that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and pause the video again and show you some of the variant covers from the X Force Necrosha. Definitely love the Underworld variant. Okay, so in the back of the book Nation X, which I have in the hardcover, it's almost like an omnibus because it's so big. But the last story that they have is Cyclops basically meeting with Wolverine and saying, "Hey, I'm disbanding, X Force," and Wolverine's like, "Okay, that's cool." And then he walks like in this room, and when he walks in this room, you see these guys. You see Psylocke, Deadpool, Archangel, and you see Fathom X. And you're like, what the hell? And Wolverine's like, hey, he could disband X Force, but I'm gonna start my own group called Uncanny X Force. And man, when I tell you that X Force was my favorite group, but when they became Uncanny X Force, oh my god, it just the climax, man, of the story and the writing and all that just went 10 times fold. And it's called the Apocalypse Solution because at the end of this book, this is where they put a bullet, or Phantom X actually puts a bullet to the head of a young Apocalypse. And here's a look at the back of the hardcover. This is called um, the Apocalypse Solution. These are the final horsemen of Apocalypse. The dude with the drums, if you allow my sexy fingers to interrupt your video, the dude with the drums, he has a power where if you hear his music, he will actually, like, I think his name was Jethro, but he has a power where if you hear his music, like, you will actually like freaking like get sick or some crap. This guy here, I do not know his name. I don't know really none of their names, but this guy right here, he's pretty cool. He has a power where when he touches you, you know what I'm saying, you almost get sick the same. This lady right here actually end up having a baby with Archangel, and that's where the twins come from in the Uncanny Avengers, which that run I too much didn't care for. It was all right, mediocre at the most. But the Apocalypse Twins actually comes with Archangel having sex with her, and then this big guy, this is their war. He actually is almost like a statue, and if he cuts you with his enchanted axe, it will send you into like a rage where you would just like, battle against anybody. And of course, he ended up cutting Wolverine, and Wolverine actually ended up going crazy. The thing that I vividly remember about this book is when Deadpool was trying to keep Archangel alive because Archangel had been touched by famine, and famine was this guy. When he was touched by famine, he actually turned real skinny. So Deadpool actually nursed him back to life by cutting off pieces of his own flesh and feeding it to him with some soda. Only Deadpool would think of something like that. Okay, and the next book is the Uncanny X Force Deathlock Nation. Man, just look at that cover. Oh my god. Okay, X Force right there is in the world. The world is this like little Weapon X facility that Phantom X actually can downsize and put into his pocket. And then when he takes it out of his pocket and he upsizes it, it's as big as almost like a world. So it's pretty cool, man. And this is where they took the younger Apocalypse and they cloned him, and that's where they kept him. Now, the thing about this book, which is funny, I actually waited a while to get this book because it was on Amazon for like, I think like $100, and I was like, that must be a glitch in the system. But nah, they only had a couple of them, so they actually end up getting up there to that price, $100. But I finally end up getting it. It's a very cool run. It explains like how in the future you have like a whole bunch of Deathlocks that's like police. You had Deathlock Captain America, you had Deathlock Spider Man, all this weird kind of stuff. Deathlock Deadpool. But yeah, man, this book is very awesome. So let's take a look at the back of it. So this collects Uncanny X Force 5 through 7. On the back, you can actually see what I mean about how it end up having, a whole bunch of, superhero deathlocks. What would happen is in the future when the superheroes would die, not even when they would die, they were just taking over superheroes' bodies and turning them into deathlocks, which was pretty cool. Now, the beginning of this book, the beginning of this book, X Force goes at it with the freaking Reavers. Man, that was something to behold. And you remember in the Logan movie where you saw X-23 cut off, what's his name? Shit. When she cut off Blockbuster's head, that actually came from this book. This is Psylocke actually went the freak off. And then this book was funny because this is when Magneto kind of like looked and he was like, something's going on with Wolverine. So Magneto ended up figuring out that, hey, you got this Black Ops team that's operated behind even Cyclops' back. So this is when Uncanny X-Force gets really, really deep and really, really like the stories are already like 10. This is when the stories hit freaking 100. Like it just gets off the chain. This is Uncanny X-Force Dark Angel Saga Book 1. And what happens in this book is Farouk, who is actually the Shadow King, goes inside of Warren Worthington's brain. That's why you see Warren Worthington being held by Archangel. He goes inside his brain and he unleashes Archangel, who was pent up inside. And Archangel said, hey, if Apocalypse dead, you know what I'm saying? That is my father. I shall rise to his throne. And that's what happened. And so in order to get him back to where he needed to be and in order to stop Archangel, the X-Men had to go to the Age of Apocalypse dimension or universe or whatever you want to call it. So when they went to the Age of Apocalypse universe, they actually had to get like this celestial seed, which would actually stop, Archangel from ascending to Apocalypse. So, man, that new arc that they have, like the, what is it called? The Apocalypse War or whatever that they came out with. I ain't even buy it because when you do Apocalypse, you have to do him. That doesn't sound right. When you actually go ahead and you start talking about Apocalypse or you write a story on Apocalypse, you have to do it right, man. You can't pull any punches and you have to know your history of Apocalypse. So that new Apocalypse War arc, I didn't even buy. I didn't even acknowledge it because, man, I heard from so many people it sucked. But it has nothing on this Dark Angel saga. So let's take a look at the back of the book. And here's a look at the back of the book. It collects Uncanny X-Force 8 through 13. So it was pretty cool to see Wolverine visit Jean and see her alive. They automatically like fell in love. Okay, so as I was telling you in book 1, you saw Archangel ascend to the throne of Apocalypse in the regular Marvel universe. Well, in the Age of Apocalypse, when Apocalypse had actually died at the end, Weapon X actually ended up being the next Apocalypse, which was pretty cool because the hand that was blown off was actually replaced by like a cannon. So this is very, very cool. And actually, in that first book, it introduces Wolverine's daughter from the Ultimate Universe. Even though she was quickly killed, it introduced his daughter. So on this front cover, you have Dark Beast, you have Pestilence, you have Holocaust, who is a Apocalypse son in this Earth, and you have War, and you have Famine. And if you look very closely in the middle, you'll see Archangel, who became Apocalypse. So very, very cool book. And this is the book where he actually slept with the Pestilence and got her pregnant. And that's where, like I said, in the Uncanny Avengers, that's where the Apocalypse twins come from. And here's a look at the back of the book. It collects the Uncanny X-Force 14 through 19. Man, I tell you, man, these two books, book 1 and book 2, they're the best, period. Hands down. Hands down. So in order to kind of give you a break from all that, that was going on, The writers of Uncanny X-Force actually focus more on Psylocke. If you allow my sexy fingers once again to interrupt your video, that's Psylocke right there. Yeah, the Age of Apocalypse, Nightcrawler who came back with Wolverine. Yeah, Megan. You have Deadpool, Captain Britain, and this book is basically touches on Psylocke's past, where they go in the other world. Uh, like it's very weird, and at the end of the book, Psylocke had to end up killing her crazy brother. So it was a pretty good art, man. Pretty good book. Really, really liked it. And yeah, so let's take a look at the back of it. So this collects Uncanny X-Force 19 through 24. And the funny thing about this is Phantom X actually has this villain called like the Skin Man. And Phantom X actually took the man's skin and he actually made like bullets out of it. The man's skin could actually stretch. It was almost like a venom. I mean, what do you call it? Carnage type of skin, where Carnage can take it and make it sharp, do this, do that, and so Phantom X actually skinned the man alive. The cool thing about it is now that the guy's skin is gone, he uses his muscles. So it's really weird, very good, man. It's hard for me to describe it because it's a comic book, but definitely if you were to pick this up, you would not be disappointed at all. And like I said, it has a Captain Britain's corpse in it. Okay, so when I saw this book and I saw Final Execution, I started getting sad because I knew that my year and a half of collecting, Uncanny X-Force hardcovers was coming to an end. And, it just, it was bittersweet. But anyway, this is the Final Execution. The Final Execution focuses on, the X-Force, Uncanny X-Force going into the future. And they find that Psylocke has actually, taken over the world by having superheroes do the same thing that Uncanny X-Force is doing. And that's killing a threat before it can become a threat. And they saw how the future turned out. And the cool thing is you have Punisher and Cable side by side. Of course, Punisher would be the perfect candidate to be a police of that stature. But what they would do is basically they would just look into the future of a person. And if the person was going to kill one day, they would just kill them, while they was a baby or right before they did the act. So it brought a pretty good discussion up. Like, if you don't steal, but you're thinking about stealing, should you be locked up for stealing even though you didn't steal yet? Very cool concept. So let's take a look at the back of the book. So this arc actually collects Uncanny X-Force 25 through 29. Here's the skinless man that I was telling you about. That's Phantom X's arch villain or whatever, arch enemy. And this is a new brotherhood of evil mutants. You have Skin Man, you have Sabretooth, you have Farouk, who is the Shadow King, you have Mystique, and you actually have the Age of Apocalypse Blob. The way that the Age of Apocalypse Blob died is so cool. Nightcrawler from the Age of Apocalypse actually teleported a shark into his guts, and the shark ate him from the inside out. Very violent, very gory, and the leader of this group ended up being none other than Wolverine's son, Daken. Or Daken, however you want to pronounce it. And the last Uncanny X-Force book is Final Execution Book 2. This ties up all the loose ends before they dismantle the team. The Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler actually turned on the team. Psylocke actually ended up trying to kill herself, but the future Psylocke saved her. Deathlock joined he was on the team since Deathlock Nation. And yeah, man, it's pretty cool. The chick that you see right up under Psylocke, that's actually Phantom X's ship. She became sentient. They thought that she had blew up, but she actually ended up mutating into her next form of mutation, which is actually a sentient being. So this, Final Execution was pretty good. It wrapped up everything. At the end, Wolverine actually killed Daken. He actually killed him by drowning. And yeah. And here's a look at the back of the book. This collects Uncanny X-Force 30 through 35. And what happened is At the end of this book, or towards the middle of the book, in order to beat the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Phantom X went into the world and he actually freed Evan, who is the new Apocalypse. So it was pretty cool, man. Love it. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Direct Edition. The channel is Fred Hall Direct Edition. And I will try to do more videos like this to kind of, so we're not such, comic book haul videos. We're going to do videos where, it just gives you other avenues like Funko Pops, toy reviews, different stuff like that, man. And you guys be safe out there. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. You know, if Psylocke was a president, she'll be Abraham Lincoln.